Welcome to Mick and the Psychic, where we leave no stone unturned as we explore all things outside the apparent physical realm.
There is no intent to teach or make you believe or disbelieve anything. It is just a safe space to listen and explore with us.
So for this next episode, you have permission to open your heart and mind as you join myself and Xavier on this deep dive into the unknown.
Aware of one guide who comes in, he must have lived an earthly life of a Japanese man. Once going into a trance, literally see him walking towards me in this white robe. Hiroto. It meant great spirit. And I was just like, holy crap.
All right, another great episode. I've been really excited about this one as I've been reading up about Lindie Gunston, who is a psychic spirit medium, teacher, mentor, mother, and lover. Born and raised in South Africa, the daughter of a Pentecostal minister, let's just say communicating with spirit was potentially frowned upon in her household. So she had a lot of fear to overcome in the journey to becoming a medium. Years of traveling around the world for the meaning of life and trying to find the right path. Wasn't until her early 30s that she had a major spiritual awakening, which I'm going to definitely be asking about. And all her past experience with spirit suddenly started to make sense. And so began her journey to become the psychic and medium teacher she is today. As she evolves and grows on her own personal path, so does her work as a medium and teacher. To Lindie, it is a lifelong commitment to spirit and humanity. Oh, look, welcome to the show. It's so awesome to have you here.
Thank you, darlings. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my gosh.
So fun.
So much fun.
Really excited to be here, actually. I love chatting to different people. It's awesome.
Awesome. That's my favorite word. I'm going to say awesome like 50
Awesome.
times.
Well, we're different.
I overuse it slightly, but oh well.
We're definitely different. So you'll be fine. We're different. That's for sure.
Different, yeah. It's awesome. I came across you, the universe, they know who we'd like to interview and talk to and who would be fun and interesting, and we'll have great insights for our listeners to learn from and experience. So I saw a snippet of you pop up, I think from the radio. You were on there doing some mini readings and healings, and I just went, and I'm a medium, right? But I don't do platform events like you do. And I heard you and how bang on accurate you were, and I went, holy crap.
I don't know how half the stuff comes out of my mouth.
It's friggin' awesome. Yeah, I just thought that is amazing. And the amount of people you must help and touch and educate and help them feel closer to their crossed over loved ones, so they understand that they are right here and it's just another dimension, and they can talk to them and they hear everything. This is what I love to teach. So I do it by explaining, you do it by demonstrating, which I really love. So where do we start? What can you tell us about? Oh my goodness.
I love the fact. So I obviously got that information from one of your websites, obviously. Yeah. So I didn't know that. I'm not using my psychic abilities to read into your past. However, how interesting, coming from obviously quite a religious background.
Yes.
What part did that play? Obviously, it was challenging. I mean, there's the obvious stuff of, oh, wow, you've obviously had these psychic abilities, and growing up in a religious household must have been hard. But what out of that religious background kind of shaped who you are and how you understand, life as it is?
Great. Well, my father was an incredible spiritual leader. He was a pastor, bless his soul. He's over spirit side now. Very strict man, gave me a lot of shit, as a young one. But I saw how his faith and his belief actually helped people, even though he wasn't particularly a nice man at times, that was his version of spirituality and his way of connecting with people, but he just had the umbrella of Christianity on there, I guess. Yeah. I actually had a lot of spiritual experiences when I was younger. So one of my earliest memories is the feeling, I was around 7, and I felt who I thought was my mum sit and get into bed with me. And I had my back turned to the door. I can remember it so specifically. And she got in, because that's something she would do, if I needed comforting or something like that. And then I could feel her breathing and the rise and the fall and everything. And then I rolled over and there was nobody there.
Oh,
and I was like, what the fuck? Not that I said that at 7.
Oh.
But I wasn't scared.
You weren't scared?
I wasn't scared. I was actually really comforted.
Love.
I was really comforted. I still don't know who it was to this day, but I suspect one of my many grandmothers in the spirit world, because I'm also adopted. That's a whole other story. But it was around that age I started becoming aware that I was adopted. And so it was around that age things really started kicking off. But of course, you know, my parents, my mum's still alive, but my parents were fanatical Christians, like Pentecostal. You know, I wasn't allowed to wear dresses. I wasn't allowed to wear anything revealing. I wasn't allowed to do ballet. I really wanted to do ballet, but with these big boobs and hips, you ain't going to see a ballet come out of me. But I wasn't allowed to do any of that. You know, we had such a strict upbringing. Everything was monitored, you know, everything. I couldn't fart without privacy. You know? But I didn't
couldn't
really
fart without an amen.
That's it. I just, you know, I didn't really understand my life at that point, yet strange things were happening to me, very strange things. I remember once a flower landed on my bed, a beautiful flower just placed on my bed, and I'm like, what the heck? And so I asked my mum, I asked my brother, I asked my dad, and nobody put it there, none of them. And they're not going to lie to me, you know, they're selective lying, I guess, but I knew that was, you know, placed, and I had no clue. So it was all these little things, but at the same time, my father was really focused on the devil. Like Pentecostals are really full on into demonic warfare and the devil and all of that. So we had that fucking fear of God. Shut up, let me tell you. And I remember as a child being so shit scared of what was out there and shit scared that I'm going to go to hell. And one of my earliest memories is actually my father sitting on the bed with my brother and I, and my brother was a couple of years older than me, or actually 6 years older than me. And my father said to me, you don't give your life to the Lord, you're going to go to hell. And so I remember this, it sounds so stupid now because I'm 46, but I carried this belief into my early 20s and a little bit beyond. Because I knew there was something spiritual. I knew it because the things I'd seen, you can't make this shit up. You cannot make it up.
So did you tell them? Did you tell them when things were coming up, and what did they say about it?
Yeah, look, it was pretty much squished out and
imagination,
disregarded, imagination, or it's the devil.
I was going to say, did they assume it was the devil?
They
assumed it was the devil. You mustn't be behaving, or you must, because if you're seeing stuff like that, like what have you done wrong or something? Okay.
So I had no real clue as to what the hell was going on. I thought, you know, the spirit world is real, but it's governed by God and Christians. So I had no idea of other religions or spirituality. You know, I remember the first time hearing about psychics and mediums, or I must have been around 18 when I heard about what they are. And then, of course, when you think about mediums, you're like, shit, can they see everything? And they read my thoughts. So I didn't see one until the early 30s because I didn't want them uncovering all my kiki nonsense.
That's the reaction I get when people ask me what I do for work, and they either have two reactions. Shit themselves and run away because they think I can read their impurest thoughts. And the second one is, oh, what do you see around me?
It's like when
so we know who the creeps are. The creeps are the ones that run because they are having the impure thoughts.
They just gave themselves away.
They did.
That's it. Yeah, so very interesting upbringing, but absolutely grateful for it. Grateful for those experiences because they truly shaped me into who I am today. And, you know, I consistently have to work on myself and better myself because I've had quite a traumatic past. And so it's there, you know, and it's there and it comes up every now and then. But every time I attempt the healing, or I go for healing, or I recognize that I need something healed here, it goes in an instance and another layer of me disappears. And then I can access more of these abilities. And so this is how I teach now, because we have to work on our fucking shit. We have to work on our shit, because if you don't work on your shit, you're going to stay the same and you're not going to grow. And so I know that this can be very uncomfortable for people, you know, to really own their stuff. And I feel I own my stuff more than a lot of people. And I feel like as a teacher, people find this quite refreshing because I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, pretending it was so easy to get here because it was so fucking hard. It was hard work. And so many times I'm like, what is the point? I don't want to do this. But I kept going like a dog with a bone. And now it's all starting to make sense.
There's the saying, don't trust a skinny chef, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, yeah? So if you're seeing a healer or a medium or someone that hasn't worked through stuff themselves and realize how hard it is,
Yes.
they're not going to be as helpful to you.
That's right.
In just the transition and what's happening, to understand that, oof, this will be hard for you. Yeah.
I've had a lot over the years, especially spiritual people. And I used to do it myself. I'd spiritually bypass. And I realized that after learning some coaching methods and becoming a coach myself, I realized that I used to spiritually bypass by sending shit away and I didn't realize I was pretending, but instead of dealing with the shit and talking about it and feeling it, I just send it off to the universe.
Yeah.
Without actually looking at what it was and asking, why is that bothering me? Why is that triggering me?
Yes.
So yeah, I totally get that. And now I do the same, teaching people that you have to deal with this shit. Otherwise you're not actually learning and growing at all.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's messy, but you got to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a big part of our human experience and our human journey is to be able to look at all the stuff that makes us up, look at all the experiences that make us us. Yeah. And at the same time, I guess we have a tendency to focus on the negative instead of the positive.
Yeah.
But do a little bit of reflecting on both. It's not all about the negative, and even those negative experiences or those perceived negative experiences are your greatest teachers. They are your greatest teachers. And so when something shitty happens to me, I get bloody annoyed and I have sometimes a very human reaction, but I also know with some sense of excitement, once I deal with the shit and once I acknowledge it, poof. And so it's like it's me with the way I cope with things, but that's how I get through it. That there's not that I attract these situations to me, and it's not like I go because I'm the happiest I've been in years. The last few years I've absolutely thrived, especially during pandemic, and so I know that it's because I'm really absorbing all these lessons, and the growth has just been nothing short of phenomenal.
Beautiful.
It's interesting you say like who we are, because who we are is many things. It's our conditioning, don't need to tell you about that. It's our, a lot in our own personality that comes through, but also in our genetics, which you were adopted. Have you found out any information, I don't know from which side, but have you found out any information about your kind of birth parents or ancestry?
Absolutely.
And has it related to these kind of woo-woo powers that you've got?
It has to a degree. Look, I was adopted when I was about 4 months old. I was actually in a severe state of neglect. So I had a really rough start, and my 13-year-old uncle at the time was left to look after me, and he tried his best. 13 he was. And he tried his absolute best, but of course, bloody hell, he's 13. And my birth mother was 17, bless her. So it's not easy. You don't have that level of experience, to be able to cope with a baby, and with not much support. So anyway, I don't know, when did I find them? Early 30s. So it was around the same time of my spiritual awakening. It was maybe like about 10 months after. And so it was very synchronistic the way it happened. So I tried for 8 years.
You weren't ready for that info yet.
I was not ready.
No.
Wasn't ready. Searched for 8 years, and eventually I found her, my biological mother, through Facebook. And when I saw her face on the photo, actually, no, sorry, it was 4 kids, and her photo was further down. I saw my 4 siblings, and I just went, fuck.
No way.
Oh my fucking God. Staring into my own eyes. We've all got the same eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. It blew my mind. And I'm still in touch with some of the siblings, not all. And I'm not in touch with my biological mother. But I was really glad to find them, and really glad to feel where I came from, feel into where I came from. But unrelated to that kind of, well, not unrelated, but I actually put a little ad in a South African magazine trying to find my birth father, because I thought that he's going to be a real hard one to find. But when I met my biological mother, it was quite an intense experience, because she had just sold her fridge for drugs, and there was cockroaches running around her floor, and it was really a little bit traumatic.
Was this in South Africa or
in
Australia?
South Africa? I flew to South Africa to go and meet her.
Oh, Lindie, wow.
Yes. And so anyway, I thought, fuck that. I don't want to meet my biological father. And so I Anyway, I heard nothing for 6 months. Next thing, I get a message from this lady who emailed me, says, your father is living in Adelaide. And I'm like, what? Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Get the fuck out of town. So I ended up meeting him, and we still have a connection today. He's a pretty cool guy. He owns a snake, and he's an ex-bikie and all of that.
Badass.
Loves what I do, you know, and he's awesome. He's really cool. But as far as the lineage, I guess, his mum, my grandmother, was quite psychic. I actually got to meet her in South Africa. She died. She passed into spirit half an hour after my plane left South Africa. Half an hour. Wow. And then when I landed in London, because that's where I was at the time, or was it Australia? I can't fucking remember where I've been. When I landed, there was all these Buddhist monks that got off the plane, and everywhere was just all these spiritual numbers. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm actually getting goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I switched on my phone, and they said, your grandmother's passed away half an hour after you left. And I was just like, wow, she hung on to meet me.
That's very cool.
Just incredible, like mind-blowing. And so she was very psychic. One of her grandsons, my cousin, used to see spirit, apparently. And there's a few little bits and pieces through the family, but nothing that nobody's done, like a career or anything, but certainly abilities that have presented themselves.
Wow. Yeah. So it's there. It's in the family. Wow. What a journey for you. Because a lot of people wouldn't necessarily try and search. And particularly, you know, if they know that, you know, their mum was very young.
Yeah.
You can tell that you've come a long way with a lot of compassion to your situation.
Yes.
Obviously.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. And so that, like, wow. So you had all these spiritual leaders out there just to celebrate with you or protect you or whatever. That's amazing.
Incredible journey. I've always felt sometimes it's been a very lonely path.
Yeah.
You know, but most of the time it's a very supportive journey, because I've created that for myself. I've created those connections with people. And when I read for somebody, or when I connect with a student, or when I'm connecting with you guys, that's all that matters to me in the moment. You know, that's all that matters, is that connection. Because that in itself is healing.
Oh, 100%.
You know, there's something that must happen biologically and chemically with us when people connect. I don't know.
I think so. I don't think this game of life is a single player. I think it's a multiplayer. That's why.
I agree.
So when we connect, it's kind of what we're here for. Same thing with nature, right? You know, you connect with nature, you feel that, and you just go, oh. Sometimes you can connect with like even the computer's made out of stuff there's nothing that's come from Mars yet. Elon Musk hasn't brought anything back with him yet. So
Not yet.
I don't know. We had an interview with Sol Rita. I'm pretty sure she's from a completely different star constellation.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really open. I mean, I've got a pretty good bullshit detector.
Yeah.
Obviously, but as you heard before, can be quite gullible.
I can't even remember what I tricked you on, but
I can't remember either, but you'll be able to look back.
You're saying that it's a very serious podcast. You have to behave yourself. We have a Christian audience.
Right. I'm like,
no swearing.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, she's like, oh, really? You're serious?
Yeah, well, if it was, you broke that pretty quickly.
20
so that's
times.
Fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
Lindie, I would love to know, because we both are, we're very interested in past lives and our souls choosing why we come here. So do you feel that all the lessons you've been through, the experience you've had, even though a lot of them were shitty as hell, do you feel like you would have chosen that experience to help get you to where you are? Do you believe that happens with all the people that come here? Look,
I really don't know. I really don't know.
Oh, I trust you already.
Yeah, I'm very,
I trust you already.
I'm very open to different beliefs. and all of that, you know, and with past lives. And I do feel, you know, we have lessons to learn. I just can't move on from that train of thought.
Yep.
And so it's my approach to life. That's the way I look at life, is that we're here to experience a journey. And we're here to learn to love.
Yes.
And it actually starts with loving ourselves. And we're often the hardest people to love. You know, and it's really about
it's a shame that's so cliche.
I know.
What you're saying is that there's a hell of a lot of wisdom in there, and how you've put it from where you're at makes a lot of sense. But it's become so cliche that you can't love others until you love yourself.
Yes.
They're just words, but like the way you're saying it is as to why we're here is to love.
Yes, it is.
Exactly.
It's why we're here. And I also feel we're here to experience different not forms of life, different journeys. So, you know, maybe we're here to be the ones that have been thrown in jail. Maybe we've done something really shitty. You know, maybe we've been millionaires. Maybe we've been a rock star on stage. Maybe we've been the maid that cleaned your grandmother's bathroom.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We've had all of these different experiences. Maybe we're having them all at once.
Maybe there's no such past.
Because I'm not very clever with bloody science, but I have an interest in it. You know, but my logical brain sometimes eludes me quite greatly. But I've got a bit of an interest in quantum physics. And I just love delving into it and frying my brain. Like, it doesn't always make sense to me, but it sort of feels, there's something that feels right about it. And I've had different experiences in life where my reality has shifted before my eyes, or people around me have had altered perceptions of reality, not with substances, but full on straight as an arrow. Yeah. And it's like I've been there at that moment to say, well, look, this can happen. You know, an example I can think of is my ex-husband. He went to collect wood one day with a friend of his. Now, the friend of his wife was also a medium. Both my ex-husband, we're still great friends, fortunately. Both him and the husband, husband of the friend, both of them are not closed-minded, but they're somewhat skeptical. So they both went to collect wood one day. They're going down a highway, like a road going that way and one road coming back. They go off that way to collect the wood, but somehow, without crossing the road, they've come out the other side. Wow. And they're like, awesome. They were floored when they got back with the wood. They were like, I don't know. And they're both logical guys, these two. They're not going to make shit up. And, you know, there's been a few other little things like that. You know, we have that feeling of time speeding up. And then we can have that feeling of time slowing down. It's interesting, isn't it? Because what is grappling with me at the moment, and I'm going off on a little tangent, is how short our life is. Yes. It's so short. You know, and do we all get to that stage where we think, fuck it, let's just enjoy life. Let's just live in the bloody moment.
I hope everybody does.
That's all that matters. It sounds so wanky, but it is really all that matters, is that we're here in the present, you know, but it's a really hard thing for us humans to grasp because we're so conditioned to always be looking into the future. You know, that's why with my work as a psychic in particular, I'm not massive on future predictions. Yeah, I'm surprised I've got people that come back and see me. I mean, there is, granted, I don't always say something is a future prediction, but it might transpire in the future because I don't always know where information sits, whether it's in the past or the present or in the future. Sometimes I feel it, but not always. And then they'll come back and go, oh, well, you said this and it actually happened. I'm like, wow. Far out.
So if you didn't hit the nail on the head at the time and they're not resonating with it,
yes,
maybe because it's the future and you didn't even realize. That's cool.
Yeah,
I've had sessions, so hypnotic sessions with people, and that's like very nicely said it's a bit of a waste of time, and then it's been a long time and gone, oh my god, I actually understand it now, and this was incredible. It's like, okay, yes. So sometimes it's not about you as the person that's facilitating that; it's about timing for the other person. So if you're lucky enough, you're a hero. and your magic. If you're not lucky enough, then you're a charlatan until you are a hero and magic.
Yes.
and neither are true.
Neither are true.
Neither are true.
I've been very lucky, you know, because I've had very few experiences where I've been, you know, I've been treated badly because of my profession.
Good.
You know, I've always been very lucky that those experiences have been limited to a handful. I've been able to really express myself, and even more so in the last few years, just how I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not worried about what my old teachers think.
Mm.
You know, I'm not worried about what people think that comes out of my mouth. Sometimes, you know, we are human. We're going to worry what some people think. But, you know, mostly it's just, I'm really glad to be who I am and be comfortable in allowing others to be who they want to be. You know, because that's ultimately, we try and mold ourselves to society's expectations. Let's break the fuck free from that, man.
Yeah.
So many great nuggets of tips and like, yeah, wonderful things that you've learned through your journey that people can take away from this. Just, and I love the whole, what I do a lot of channeling about why we come here, and specifically for clients, but that, like you said, our main lesson is to love ourselves. And that's nearly exactly what I say to my clients, is like, everyone's got their own journeys, but the one thing we all have in common is our higher selves, or whatever you want to call it, wants us to be able to stand in front of a mirror naked and love everything. And that's not just naked physically, it's naked with all your cards on the table, forgiving yourself of everything, understanding we're just here for this human experience, we're doing our best, and even sometimes we don't, as long as we learn and grow from it. Just loving everything, every sag, every wrinkle.
That's it.
If you can do that, you've nailed it. You've done amazing.
Absolutely.
Get there, and then figure out how to get there if you're not sure.
Yeah.
And which is going to be different for each person, isn't
Everyone.
it? And to what level? And speaking of that, can I ask, what was this spiritual awakening moment? Like, obviously there was a lot of things and experiences from the spirit in the past that have all led up to it, but there was one moment where things kind of just went.
It literally did go poof, and my mind was absolutely floored. So all it was is I had a reading with this lady in Perth. I can't even remember her name.
Don't say Perth like that. Don't say Perth like that. Don't say Perth like that. I had a reading from a lady in Perth.
Oh, it's my accent.
Shout out to everyone in Western Australia. It's okay.
She was absolutely amazing, and she knew stuff about me, and then she connected with my brother in spirit. And the stuff she knew about him absolutely floored me, and I was like a stunned mullet. And then after that, I was literally walking around the house in a daze. I'm pretty sure she read for me on a Friday, and then on the Saturday we took the kids and went to have a drink in the pub garden in Creswick where I lived. And I was talking to this chap called Terry that's over there, and I just, for some random reason, I knew him, just started telling him about what had happened. And then next minute, I start connecting with his grandfather in the spirit world.
Oh, wow.
And I still remember that in detail. I named him because his name was James. And I said, your grandfather was in the army, and he's showing me that he used to put his cigarette butts out in his pocket. And he's like,
that's pretty specific. Yeah.
And he's just like, oh my God, girl. He said, okay. He says, you need to go to the TS bookshop in Melbourne. And I'm like, okay then. And so Sunday, I was sitting outside and I watched this little dandelion.
Hang on, did Terry tell you to go to the bookshop in Melbourne, or did?
No,
oh, okay.
No, Terry, the guy at the pub.
Not James.
No. No, that's the guy in spirit.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, I don't know who's telling you to go to
I know,
bookshop.
right? So I'm sitting outside, and I just see this little dandelion floating down, and I'm just watching it. Next thing, it lands on my side, and it sticks on my side. I'm like, okay then. So I go to the bookshop on Monday, and I walk into this bookshop, and I'm like, fuck, holy crap. Walk straight back out. I couldn't handle the energy. It was like oh my God. I had to go out and then come back in. So I come back in, start looking at all the development health books, and I pick up this book, and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks good. Psychic Development for Beginners. Can't even remember her name. But anyway, I take myself off and I go and sit in a cafe at Fed Square, and I start reading this book, and I'm like, wow, holy crap, this chick has got the same journey as me. She's adopted, she's this, comes from...
Oh my God.
family, and I'm like,
Okay.
are you kidding me? Got goosebumps again.
Yeah.
Then I turn over the book and I look on the front cover, and there's a picture of a dandelion on the front cover that I didn't notice. I didn't notice it when I bought the book. How's that?
Oh,
I mean,
this
obviously,
this is too much.
Yeah. And then I'm like, holy crap. And then I felt drawn to look at my foot, and I looked down at my foot, and there's a little dandelion stuck on my foot. And so that was my first tattoo.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That I got. And that's why that's all over my website and all of that. You know, it was just phenomenal. And from that moment, I just became like a dog with a bone. I had this incredible hunger to find out more and to see if I could do this. And all the signs were there. And then not long after that, so I did online development myself for 2 years. So I was on a parenting forum in the spirituality section. And I said, hey, I'm going to do some readings. I want 30 people over the next 3 months. And send me a photo, send me this. And so I read for 30 people, and the stuff and the feedback that was coming back just blew my mind, you know, with what was coming out and what people were saying yes to. I'm like, surely all these people can't be bullshitting me, you know? And then not long after that, this guy called Tony Stockwell, who was my teacher for many years, for 8 years, his information appeared in my saved favorites. And I don't know how it got there. Granted, yes, maybe I saved it somehow, but I have absolutely no recollection.
You didn't consciously do
it. Maybe unconsciously, yes. I'm not saying it was placed there, but it was, I don't remember it. And anyway, he was coming over to Australia to do a retreat. And so I signed up for that retreat. And then I ended up studying with him and his different teachers for a period of about 8 years. I even went to the Finlay College in London.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Hogwarts.
And it was incredible, man. It was just this.
Comes up a lot in our podcasts.
Hogwarts.
Hogwarts has only come up twice.
Finlay College.
It's only come up twice.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal place.
Has it?
Anyway,
it's a phenomenal place, and so that's where I got all my training, and you know, and I got to connect with others, but I also got to see the dark side of mediumship development, you know, and how it's not always a supportive environment.
Okay.
And how we all are really kind of wounded souls just trying to find our fucking way, trying to work on our own shit, but we don't always realize that or connect with that. And then we just act like a bunch of idiots sometimes. But, you know, I think there's growth to be had in those situations as well.
Can you tell us about the dark side of...
You have to pause now and give an example of what you mean by...
Sorry.
It's not evil or anything like that, but it's backstabbing and it's jealousy and it's people not seeing the bigger picture and just trying to be absolute arseholes. You know, I'm sure I've been an arsehole. In fact, I know I can be an arsehole sometimes. But, you know, when you're in this field and when you're all just trying to do the same thing and bring love and healing, and then there's this jealousy and all this carrying on, it's like, fuck off, man. Yep. Just get in touch with your spiritual side. Stop being so human.
So is it like, these people have these powers, but I think this is more important? Or is it like, I don't know.
They're in competition. It's frustrating.
Yes, it's not a competition. I've got a dear friend up in Queensland Sam, who's a fantastic medium herself. And she's always had the saying that says there's plenty of dead people to go around. Do you know what I mean? Like, fuck me, there's so many spirits. There's going to be enough for everybody, darling.
Oh, that's good.
So true.
Yep. Plenty of dead people around. Love it.
And so I had to learn to rise above that. You know, I had to learn to rise above that and try not to get sucked into the humanism. But I realized, you know, over those periods of 8 years, I really didn't see the bigger picture of what was coming for me or what was happening. I would sometimes get insight, but I wouldn't believe it. You know, with what was happening. And so I realized that over those 8 years, that was my time to really be learning about myself, you know, learning what my triggers are, I still don't know what all of them are.
Of
You know,
course.
When you say you've got
constant.
constant, yeah.
Say again.
When you say you got insight, do you get messages being a medium and so good at it because God, you were spot on right when you first accidental go, like holy crap.
What's that?
You got like you're so accurate right from the very start, like when you were talking, like amazing, and then imagine how much you've learned and grown now and how you fine-tuned. But when you say you get insight, is that the psychic part of you just channeling inner knowing and channeling things, or do you actually get people in spirit or crossover loved ones of your own ones? Do they give you insight or just channeling?
Yeah, look, I do sometimes get a bit of insight that way, but it mostly comes through a knowing now, because that's one of my strongest abilities is the claircognizance.
Mine too, yeah.
Yeah, and I love it because it's a certain buzz, isn't it? It's a certain feeling, and you're like, I just wish I could have the same buzz. Yeah, I wish I could have the same buzz for the lotto numbers. I do magnificent things.
I know, right?
You know? But yes, but mostly insight for others because you're working from others, because you're working with other developing mediums quite consistently. There's a lot of reading swaps and all of that. And I've even had insights from teachers, you know, who saw my potential, but when I couldn't quite see it myself.
Yep, that's why they got the message, I guess, to make sure you weren't listening.
Yes, well, that's a big thing for me. Sometimes I don't listen, but there we go.
Love that. So do you get help? I know some mediums, they have like a guide or somebody else in spirit of their own that they're connected to that might help bring through spirits for people. Do you have someone like that, or do you just tune in?
I'm not aware of. I'm aware of one guide who comes in. He's, you know, he must have lived an earthly life of a Japanese man at some point. But I'm not always aware of him. It's really subtle sometimes. I do remember once going into a trance, and this was in my early years. And I've been into trance quite a few times and had some fantastic experiences. But this particular time, I was aware of this Japanese guide coming close, and I could literally see him walking towards me in this white robe. It sounds so cliched. Sandals on his feet. Japanese Jesus, maybe, I don't know. But he kept saying the name Hiroto. No, was it Hiroto? It was something like that. But it means, and then when I Googled it, it meant great spirit. And I was just like, holy crap. But I've got this deep trust with who guides me. I also feel I have family members that guide me very strongly.
Is that the grandmas?
My brothers. I've got two brothers in the
brothers, right?
Yeah. And I do feel they guide me quite strongly. And because I teach, like I'm one hell of a teacher, and I've got blow my own boat here, but blowing my own horn, I should say. But I've got so many people in spirit. Like I've known a phenomenal amount of people that have passed. And it blows my mind because the intelligence of the spirit world, like, wow, like the way they come through when I teach, and they'll present themselves like 10 minutes before going, cool. You know, or I'll say, look, I want to do this exercise. Who wants to work with me tonight? And one of them will step forward. And so I know that some of them are really easy communicators, others not so much. Like my brothers aren't around much at the moment. They haven't really been around in my teaching for the last 18 months or so, little bit every now and then. But now it's the others. There's a lot of others coming through, and then it's obviously all the students, it's all their loved ones.
Yeah, it's what they need at the time. So they're in need of the other relatives.
Absolutely. I mean, the sessions are magic. Like, absolutely.
Do you ask at the start of the class as part of it, or is this you like doing like a course plan or getting ready for? How does that work?
Look, I will have a rough structure of my courses and my groups, my 2-hour sessions. But quite often spirit will inspire me right during session. So I could have 100 things written down and not one of them will be covered. The spirit has other ideas.
So you just have to trust. You have to trust when that's coming through.
Yes.
Okay, this is what I have to do. Do you ever do it where nothing comes through, so you get to stick to your course plan? Or
sometimes it's a bit of a mix and match, you know, because it really is just being inspired by whoever wants to come through and work that day. I will often describe the sessions as magic, because, you know, like there's one of the ladies whose husband's passed. I know she won't mind me mentioning it, but he comes through all the time, and the girls are kind of really used to picking him up. You know, his energy is quite familiar. And so you kind of wonder from the spirit perspective, you know, it's part of their journey, spirit side, to help us humans evolve. And so they're learning, and this is what I often say to my students, we mustn't think that spirit's all knowing. You know, we don't know that. We don't know if they know everything, you know, but are they also learning to communicate? Because some are much stronger than others, you know. And there's this beautiful old school teacher called Mavis Patilla, and she's amazing. She was my teacher's teacher. And then Gordon Higginson, I don't know if you've ever heard that name before. Gordon Higginson, he's like the father of mediumship in England, like the father of mediumship. Incredible teacher. His teachings are timeless. Anyway, when he passed, I had this conversation with Mavis Patilla up at a retreat in Queensland. And when she said to me, when he passed, he eventually came through and said, Mavis, you know what, I had to learn how to communicate all over again. And this is like the father of mediumship. And so it's like my own father hasn't even communicated with me since he's passed. Nothing.
Isn't it? I find I pick up things for other people better, but when I do it for myself, I'm sort of not getting as much.
Yeah. I get a lot of signs, and I'm very good at reading the signs, because spirit definitely manipulates a lot of energy around me. I had that electrician around here yesterday, because I blew the stove, brand new stove, and a massive spark came out of the electrics in the house and just fucked. And I'm sure it's me, because I had another medium friend over with me a couple of months ago, and her and I were full on connecting, and there was absolute magic and synchronicity happening. Come back inside, we switch the light on, next thing the whole house just blows, poof.
I think it's the new stove though. Like if you didn't upgrade the power board, then the new stove
that's
probably
been
drawing
upgraded.
too much power. No, that's
It's actually been upgraded. It actually got upgraded.
But it doesn't help that you're psychic, because everything goes wrong IT wise whenever I'm around Xavier. So I blame her.
Light bulbs blow actually, and you know, Tonya as well. When she was on, the salt lamp in the background flicked off.
That's right.
You psychics wreck everything. Yeah,
I know, right?
Annoying.
It's hilarious.
So speaking of light switches, when you went to Perth and that person that was doing the reading flicked the switch on you, was that, did you find that you were able to communicate with people? Obviously it came through a little bit more obviously, but do you think before that switch was flicked that there were people coming through in spirit before your, I guess, mediumship journey? Because it's kind of like two journeys really, isn't it? Like, that's
right. Absolutely. There was people connecting. And the reason this blew me away with this lady in Perth, it was a phone reading. It wasn't even face-to-face. It was just on the phone. Like, I didn't even know what she looked like. She didn't know what I looked like. What was your question again, Mick?
Okay, so beforehand, it was a dumb question. That's okay. Like before the light switch was flicked, were you getting messages from spirit before you were a medium?
That you hadn't realised.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I had this young friend who passed from suicide, bless him. And before I had the reading, there was all these songs that kept coming on the radio, and there was weird things going on. And then I just felt this pull one day to ring my friend who we went to school with, and I told her what was happening, and she said, that's him trying to communicate with you. I'm like, I don't think so. You know. And so it was only afterwards that I realized, you know what, he has been trying to communicate with me. And one of my brothers had tried to communicate with me for 10 years. You know, he must have gone, oh my God, when is she going to get it?
Must be frustrated. Lucky time is different on the other side, or there'd be a lot of frustration, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now you can do that as your part of your work is educating people of how they can recognize the signs. Do you have any common signs that you know of that reoccur? So people I know, they're like, how do I know then when my loved one is connecting with me? Is there any tips or any information you can give people who are listening?
Yeah, look, numbers is a big one for me. And when I first started becoming aware of the universe and the power and all of that, numbers were massive. And so a lot of my synchronicities would come in the form of numbers. Like I could blow your mind. Let me blow your mind quickly here, right?
Please do.
So my daughter was born on the 26th of Jan. My sister was born on the 27th of Jan. My other brother was born the 25th of Jan. I have a grandmother who died on the 27th of Jan and another grandfather whose birthday was the 27th of Jan. I've got more like that. It's crazy. You know, it's just full on like with the numbers. And so we've got to notice them because there's not only just one thing that happens with the numbers. There's normally some other sign. So it might be a song on the radio, and then you look at the clock and it's 3:29 and your person passed on the 29th of April or March. You know.
So with the numbers or with the signs, is it something where you've got to think about what you're doing or experiencing at the time as to what the message might be or what you're feeling, I guess?
Yes.
And I associate it?
Yeah, I feel it only comes with practice.
Okay.
So if I've had some pretty major things going on or whatever, there might be, as I get into the car, a song come on, literally, I can think of the one, hey, sister. And then I looked at the clock and there was my brother's birthday, you know.
Wow,
and then the message in the song was just phenomenal. But then it would just be a feeling that comes over me. And it's about teaching people that to really trust those first feelings and thoughts as they come in. And just on that line too, because I did a group reading in Melbourne last week, and there were so many beautiful signs and, you know, gems that came in. And I actually just lost my train of thought because I had another train of thought coming in.
Oh,
and
you're bringing
one's just
something else.
fucking gone. Sorry, darling.
No, that's fine. Was it, so you're talking about the song, Hey Sister, thinking of your brother, associating that, so associating the song.
It was something that happened in that event. You know what, it might be blocked out for a reason because it was something else that happened there. It might
come back a will.
Sometimes it happens. Like I've literally
go with it.
Really get that.
Go with it.
Yeah.
What
So
are some of the other signs then? So you've got numbers. What else? Numbers, songs.
It's things that appear at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, somebody gives you a message, somebody sends you a message. You put a call out to the universe to be inspired for a new career direction, and you've put that intention there. And then people start talking to you about holistic counseling. But you're like, nah, that's just a coincidence. It's not meant to follow that path. But it sounds really interesting, but nah. And then you'll talk to somebody else, and then there's a conversation about holistic counseling that pops up. Nah, can't be right. And so people ignore those little signs. So they're not like massive big ones sometimes, but they can be. You know, it's
your loved ones helping whisper in people's ears to say that message, then giving people a nudge to help you along in your life, like little being spirit guides of some kind.
Yes, absolutely. I guess, you know, the thing is with learning to read the signs of the universe or from spirit can be met with a lot of skepticism because that, you know, people think, oh, you can just make something up from everything.
You could.
You know? You could, and I can see how people do, especially when it comes to orbs in pictures. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. But that takes away from when it is something that's important that you should be paying attention to.
Yes.
And is it in how you feel at the time?
I was just going to say, it's you also got to take note of your feelings because it's like a little inner flame that ignites, and it's like something in your energy just pricks up and takes notice. And so the ultimate goal of us humans, you know, is not only to love ourselves, but it's also to get into the flow of the universe and that flow of creating. And that's where this whole manifesting thing comes on, which I'm sure people roll their eyes. But my God, when you put an intention out there and things will manifest so quickly, you know, like when I look back on my life, I've always had what I need, always.
Whether you want that or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. You attract what you think about. So
Yes.
just be careful, watch your thoughts, and actually think about and talk about what you actually want rather than what you don't want.
Yes, that's the tricky one, because we're always thinking
yeah.
of what we don't want.
Yes.
And, we really need to be feeling into what we want and what will serve the greater good.
It's interesting when you've got people that practice, when you talk about manifestation, if you look at like the full crazy spectrum of it, so say like in witchcraft, where they're really trying to manifest something somewhere else, there's a massive rule in witchcraft. Whatever you put out there, it doesn't matter what you put out. You could do good stuff, evil stuff, whatever you want. But it's going to come back threefold. So just be careful what you put out. It's interesting with manifesting, I guess doesn't matter what you manifest, you've just got to expect expect it to come back somehow. You're dabbling in that.
I do feel that we are needing to work with intention more strongly.
Yeah.
As humans, we need to be setting intentions every day.
Yeah.
About things. And because otherwise we're just flying blind.
Well, we are setting intentions, just not consciously. So we're probably using our own.
Yeah, so being aware. Yeah, exactly. Imagine if you put real thought into everything you wanted rather than just flippantly, like journaling, putting intention and actually spending some time on it and writing it down helps you focus it better. And you can see, instead of the thoughts just spinning around your mind, you don't even know what you're asking for.
Yes.
Have a real intention, to think about it.
Yeah.
I love this. I love that you're talking about that, because I have a journal as part of a multi-author journal. And in that, my topic was intention is everything. Talking about accidentally creating things, and how I discovered that I did that. And when I learned later, imagining, putting the intention in and seeing how different you can change your life.
Absolutely. And it's conscious manifesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
I love that. So for people who want to learn mediumship, and have a mentor like you or wherever they're guided to, really put the intention out there that you'll find the right healer. That's how I found my mentors. I was sitting there. One of my favorite readings, the one that opened my eyes to all this stuff, is I was sitting there opposite my soon-to-be mentor, thinking about how I'd love to do her course, but I couldn't afford it. And I was learning massage. And I thought, how cool would it be if we could trade? And then she's intuitively, psychically picked up that and said, you know what, I've been wanting to get massages lately. You said you're training. How about we exchange and you can do my course if you're interested in it? Because I was reading the brochure. I only died. So just putting the intention out and thinking about what you want, and you don't know where it's going to get picked up.
That's right. Absolutely.
Love it.
It's a big thing with my students at the moment with intentions. I'm sure they're breathing and eating intentions at the moment, because it's all I ever talk about.
Eating this food.
Especially with their mediumship development, like, what's your intention with your mediumship development? What do you want to do?
And why are you doing it?
Yeah.
What do you want to teach people? Is it about helping them heal? Do you want to get famous? Like, what's your intention?
Yeah, what's your intention? And usually the intentions are very good. People want to help. They want to help and they want to bring healing because they've experienced that themselves, and the magic that happens in those connections.
It's interesting with you're talking intention. It's very good, obviously, that your students are exposed to that kind of discussion, because I guess you're working with very subtle energies.
Yes.
You're working with mediumship. It's stuff beyond what's there. You ask the intention of someone building a cabinet because we need more storage, and I like building something beautiful. It's pretty easy, and your intention can easily flow into it. Whereas if you're doing something like mediumship, you have to be really conscious of how you're sitting, let alone because it's all so subtle. Do you find that the actual craft of doing the mediumship, am I allowed to say craft, or is that bad?
No,
the practice, I don't know. I feel like it's like a trade. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with the practice of doing mediumship, is it really different for each person depending on who they are, or is there like are there some core fundamental things that have to happen for everything to work?
Look, I think if anybody can get it, with whatever intention they put in there, and I think some people get it more quickly than others.
Yeah.
I do feel that. Can you just please repeat that question?
Are there fundamentals
Fuck me.
No, it's fine. It's because
Awesome,
I've just
sorry.
asked a question and I've talked during the question and it's gone for too long. So it's my fault.
Because I've got ADHD, so I'm very flighty, and then sometimes I'll hear something, be thinking of the answer, and then realize that's what I'm doing, and then try and bring myself back.
Great
and then
combination between the two of you.
You've got super attention functioning. It's not a disorder. It's just I've got
it.
multiple
Right.
attention. Catch up. Hashtag catch up. So are there fundamental things you have to do to practice as a medium, or is it everyone's different and anything can just happen?
Everybody's different. Anything can happen. I think the main thing people have to get over is themselves. That self-doubt and the trusting is the biggest issue.
Okay.
It's the biggest issue in mediumship development. And this is what I've started telling my student now, because it just came to me one day like a bat out of hell. And the thing is, spirits don't want us to fail, especially with mediums. They want mediums to succeed because there's not enough.
There's not many.
In the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not
they
enough
want to
genuine
get their
mediums.
message across to the
Yeah.
loved one isn't getting the signs or not hearing it like a medium can. They
Yes.
really want it to happen.
Yeah. So they really want people to get it. So they're not going to fail us. They're not going to test us at all.
Okay.
They're not. That spirit do not test us. And I would never for a million years ever succumb to that train of thought.
Yeah.
You know, because that's a real human view, is my thought.
Yeah.
Where they're testing us. Nah, fuck that. They want us to succeed, but we are the ones that have to get over that self-doubt. We are the ones that have to learn to trust ourselves, because we've been taught to look outside for validation.
Yeah.
Constantly. That's our world. Revolves around validation from the outside.
Of course. Yeah.
Now suddenly we've got to learn to trust ourselves and trust it in and knowing that we are connecting with spirit.
How do you do that?
Oh, fuck me, it takes so many
Is that a
years.
course? That's a course.
You know, I can honestly say to you, I've been working professionally, I guess, as a medium since 2011. I've been learning about mediumship since 2009. But I've only really, in the last year, fully trusting myself without a doubt.
Okay. Yeah.
I can now truly say, you know what, you might think I'm wrong, and you might think that I'm just making excuses, but I know what I get. I won't say it in as many words.
Get it? I get it.
But I know what's happening.
So the proof is in the pudding. You needed to see outcomes, and
is
now
in
you
the
can't
pudding.
deny it. You're just like, well,
That's it.
okay, this is
And
what
that's
happened.
why I
Thanks,
teach
babes. Love it.
that's why I teach my students to go for the random, go for the names, go for the dates, and I get them to work with details and color, you know, because that's the stuff that blows people away. And then once we've nailed who the spirit is, and we've got all this wonderful bit of evidence, we then can go into the healing side of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can bring through those beautiful soul truths. You know, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you in my life. I see now from a higher perspective, you know, how my behavior on earth impacted you. And I'm deeply sorry for that. You know, and that's a real heart opener, because first of all, you floor the fuck out of people when shit like that comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do you know that? And then sometimes they can't validate that information and say, you left looking like you're wrong, but I'm okay with that.
Yep.
You know, there's times when I go on the radio, and I've reflected on this, that I don't always get the connection straight away, and I can't read for somebody. And so I reflected over this. But when the right reading comes, it fucking happens. Amazing. You know, maybe I'll do 2 or 3 good ones or whatever. But I don't have the time with people on the radio to relax their energy and open them up like I would in a private reading. I've only got a short amount of time.
So there's an exchange there. So there's the person
an
that's
exchange.
getting the reading needs to be a certain.
How can someone prepare themselves then if they're going to see you for a mini reading like on the radio or for a one-on-one?
It's being open to whatever comes through. It's been open to the process, being open to the process, and not having a closed mind, you know, not just saying, no, that does not make sense, because I have it. And God, that's an energy killer. You know, it doesn't mean people have to talk and blah blah blah, because I prefer it if people don't talk too much during a reading. but it's an energy thing. And some people don't realize how close they are. But I literally don't have the time on the radio to go through the whole process.
Yeah.
So it just works it out. Like you said, spirit goes, okay, it's going to be this person. So these few are going through, and I'll read for them. But it's also, I work with a great need. So I can pick up quite easily if a person's just coming for shits and giggles, to a reading, and they don't want any real guidance. They just want to see what comes through. They're not willing to change anything in their lives. They just want to see
fun.
if I can
testing out and all that. Yeah.
And so I can sense that. And then it's just
psychic as well.
Yeah. And so then I feel that I'm not really going to be able to help this person. I can feel it. And so I don't want to take their money for giving them a half-assed reading. So the best way I work is when there's a great need, and when somebody really needs that connection with their loved one in spirit, or they need that psychic guidance, or they need that that soul truth. But if there's anything less than that, my energy just doesn't match up to it, and it just doesn't happen. And so this is what I teach my students too, is that you can't read for everybody. And it's okay. It's absolutely okay that you can't read for everybody, because just like you're not going to connect with everybody in life, a psychic's not going to be able to connect with everybody.
Exactly.
And so that's why people get off the path, because they're afraid to be wrong. They're afraid that they're going to lose face in front of a client. I've lost many faces in front of clients for not being able to read for them, but I'm okay with that. And it's made me much stronger.
Yeah. Be okay with making mistakes, not knowing the answer to everything, looking like an idiot. And if it doesn't land with them, then you can just say, that's okay, take it with you. It might come up later, and not get all like, oh no, they didn't resonate. Now I look like a dog. What are they thinking? Maybe they think like, stop talking in your head.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
There's something authentic about that as well, though. Someone can say, well, doesn't always pass. It's like you're not concerned about what you look like. You're still concerned about the person getting the best out of it. And that's probably the difference, because it becomes about you then, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And it shows you coming from a heart space, because it's not about you.
Doesn't matter.
Because you're there to help the client. You're there for them. And that's why we do, all three of us here, and so many people do the modalities that we do, because we're supposed to help. So if you're coming from that right place, and I feel like that's how you teach your students, which is wonderful, with a bigger insight to it from a heart-centered space. As I teach as well, you want to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons.
That's right. That's right.
How rewarding is it seeing that epiphany that your client has? Sorry, Mick, you can talk in a second.
I'll put my hand up.
When you've got that, they've realized that you're not full of shit. You just said something so spot on. You are talking to their loved one, and they're new to all of this. Like, how rewarding is it when you see that shift in their energy, that they know that they are there with them and they can talk to them anytime.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of my favorite things, actually, to read for people who have never had a reading before.
Yeah.
I always get really excited. I'm like, have you ever had a reading before? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, yes, fabulous.
You're about to open their mind.
I really take a good 5 minutes to explain how I work and how I expect them to respond, because if they've never had a reading, they're not going to know what to expect or how the hell to respond.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have heaps of preconceived ideas. They might be way off. Yeah. Amazing. Sorry, I forgot my question, because
I knew it.
Because I was listening. Like, I hate having a question and then go, all right, and then you try and remember the question.
Usually does that to me.
That's hilarious.
So it's good. I was listening. No, I've got it now. When you're doing mediumship, though, it's, why do you think it is that you can't just switch on and go, all right, I want to talk to my great uncle now, and then just, I don't know, go into a trance and talk to your great uncle? Or, why is it that you can't just pick a person that you want to talk to and then just talk to them? Or can you?
Well, some people
I liken it to a little bit in our human experience that you can't order people to talk to you. You can't make somebody talk to you. If they don't want to talk to you, they're not going to talk to you.
Aha. Okay.
And I don't actually know the reasons why that happens, but I just think we can't order people to talk to us, spirit.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just think, we don't know how it really works from that side, the energy it must take for them to be able to connect with us, because as mediums, we're very self-focused, let's be honest. You know, it's all about us. We're wondering, oh my God, am I doing a good enough job, and blah, blah, blah. But what we do in the process is we forget about spirit, and we make it all about ourselves, and we forget that they're working just as hard to make things happen behind the scenes. And so I always remind my students, you know, think about it from spirit's perspective, you know, just think about it from their perspective, and think how tricky it must be to navigate the human mind. Fuck.
Yes.
Try and get messages through. It's a fucking miracle that they get anything through to me, let me tell you.
Oh God, we got the ADHD lady. Okay. All right.
I know, right?
Small
It's all
package of
big.
information. Small package of
Why'd you have to go
information. Just,
we got the sweary medium. Okay, let's
Yeah.
I know, that's me. So
Love it.
expressive. Just, yeah.
Love it. That's awesome. So fun.
So on radio shows and things, you can just, so you do readings for people that call in?
Yes, people that call in.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, I did one recently. I sent Xavier the clip.
Yes, I just watched
Anyway,
that today.
Yeah, it was a beautiful reading. Oh my God, this lady was just unreal. She was really open to it. But it's like the energy just builds and builds. And then it's trying to find the words to express what's coming through, especially when it might not be pleasant.
Yeah.
And I'm there, and it's being filmed, and I'm like trying not to say anything that would trigger more sadness. But the spirit world is so intelligent, they'll just bring through stuff, and through my skill I can, you know, uplift and all of that. But with this particular spirit that came through, he gave the name of a cousin, and then I gave another name, and it was another cousin, and I made a joke and I said, let's go for one more. And then it was a second name of a cousin. And then I'm like, right, he wants to give a female's name. And then I gave the name Megan, which was her daughter's wife.
Oh, right.
And it's just like, boom.
Yep.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm really surprised with what comes out of my mouth sometimes. I mean, I can't make that up. It's nuts. Absolutely crazy.
So continually it's still something that still kind of excites you and surprises you,
Yes.
even though by now this should be normal, but it still brings that enjoyment. And,
it's still and I never want to lose sight of that.
yeah, nice.
Because then I'll lose my love for this work, you know, and you just never know. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. You know?
Very wise. Socrates? Was that Socrates? I can't remember.
Forrest Gump.
Oh, Forrest Gump. Yeah. The great Greek philosopher.
Yeah.
Forrestus Gompus.
Very well quoted.
Yeah. But it's an amazing career path. And I think for all of us that dabble in spirituality, there's a reason for it. And there's a bigger picture that's unfolding. We all know that.
Yes,
on some level. And we all know that, you know, when we've got the skill, we need to be able to share the skill with others. And because that will help to bring the vibration of the planet up. I love saying that because I sound so wanky.
Yeah, you sound like
it really is. And that's the whole awakening thing. It's simple, really, you know, but we've all got to share our light.
The more people that know that there's so much more, we're not just here to eat shit and die. Like, we've got lessons and experiences, and when you die, I feel like it's like you're taking off a suit of clothes and getting ready. You're off free and naked again and ready to decide what your next suit of clothes is going to be. So you're always there and around. It's like just be open and know that you're not just here to be mundane. There's so much going on. Just love it.
Unless you are here to be mundane.
And
Well,
then
some are. That's
Maybe
okay.
some are.
You
That's
just have
fair
a few
enough.
more lives to learn to go through.
How did you two meet?
Oh, well, we
That was Tinder.
my other husband. Yeah.
Shout out to our partners. No.
Yeah.
I was actually in a business meeting. It was a very serious business meeting with a lot of finance people and everything. And we caught up afterwards just for a quick chat. And because I was the hypnotherapist, so I was the standout, and then the psychic showed up, which is more of a standout. So it was good. And I just said I wanted to do a podcast one day because we're having a great chat.
Yeah.
So I thought, shall we record our chats with other people? So now we get to have these awesome conversations with people like yourself, Lindie, about stuff that's outside of I think, the whole show is about stuff outside that physical realm.
Yeah.
That's very, very real, that we can feel and we can sense, but we can't necessarily see, but we see the effects of. And it's interesting because a lot of themes come up, and manifesting, not just in the Wenky term, comes up a lot as well. A lot of the things that you're talking about comes up, and also past lives, but also, questioning yourself and all the conditioning you've had as to why you question yourself, and getting out of your own way to be able to go with that flow of life is a big theme that comes through. It's so lovely to hear from you and say, I don't know. And then you come out with truth bombs. I always trust someone that says, I don't know.
And you know so much.
I don't know. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know.
Which means you know. Yeah, but you know
exactly.
you don't know. You don't know, and it's genius. I did have such an insightful question.
Oh my God, is my
We've
stuff
all been
passed on to
drawing
you?
blanks today.
No, not at all. No, it's because it's great conversation, and you get caught up in it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so interesting. I was going to mention, I know, because when you're being a medium and you understand how it all works and how awesome it is and how easy it is to get in touch with our loved ones, you wish that everybody would know that, and that's why we do what we do, I guess, so we can teach them. Because I actually love going to funerals now, which sounds really weird, but I
think I like them too.
They're cool. Like, it's like if everyone knew that the loved one never misses their funeral, because when you're doing a reading, because they're drawn in by the love of the person, and once they can say yes, that's them, then it opens up more and everything flows better, right? So imagine if at a funeral there's all this love, everyone's thinking of the same bloody person, aren't they? So of course they're going to be there, because it's and I love sitting there. I've seen people in spirit, they waltz down the aisle. I saw an uncle waltz down the aisle to his favorite song when it played. I see them standing up there next to the person talking, or standing behind someone sitting down when they're crying, and they put their hand on their shoulder. And sometimes you see the person kind of twitch or look to the side, and I'm like, oh, they nearly know that they're there. Like, it's just so exciting. And I wish everyone can see that. It's really, I probably said I wouldn't go up to anyone at the funeral and tell them what I was seeing. It's a bit, maybe
it's
later.
funny. It's funny you say that, because when I went to my brother's funeral in 2010, I was sat in the middle. My mum was one side and my sister was on the other side, and they were crying their eyes out. Bless them. Big thing.
Yeah.
And I had this, I could sense my brother there, and it was in a big church, and I could just sense he's like, in church, and I had this overwhelming urge to laugh, and I had to really stop myself.
Yes.
Because I was tapping into him, and I could literally feel his annoyance at having to be in church. And he's like, I didn't want to have my funeral in church.
So good.
I know. And I was just like, wow, man, that's just crazy. And that's real spirit impression.
Yeah.
Because I'm such an empath. They're losing their shit next to me.
Yeah.
And there's me wanting to laugh. And that's not like me.
Yeah.
I actually did laugh at the end of a funeral when everyone's watching the coffin go in the hearse to drive off. I accidentally laughed out loud because I heard them say, everybody go inside, it's fucking cold out here. I'm like, why are you? And I just went like really loud. My cat really loud. My mum was like, what? And I told her, at least she understood, and then she laughed, and it was just probably a really confusing time.
I feel like this is a really inappropriate documentary series, but I would really love to have like a whole lot of psychic mediums at funerals, just mic'd up, in different parts of the funeral, and like just to be talking about what's happening outside. I know it's inappropriate. I know it should,
it would be really interesting though.
I kind of think Netflix should pick it up. I'm just saying I think Netflix might pick it up. But it would be interesting, wouldn't it, to hear a couple of different mediums say what they see going on there.
That's actually interesting, because I'm actually a celebrant during COVID.
Good on you.
I thought, what the fuck am I going to do with myself? And I thought, I'll just study celebrancy. And it was hard.
Imagine adding that into your service. Like, and by the way, you're right next to me.
I could do funerals, but I don't think I can.
But just even weddings. Is there anyone on this realm or the spiritual realm that has a problem with this? Okay, you've got a great auntie that says this.
Well, that's what I'm planning to do at my wedding. I don't want any objections though. We'll bring in the spirits. Like,
careful who you ask for.
Join us. Yeah.
Careful who you ask, and be honest. You be honest.
I will totally be honest.
In case some great auntie says, don't do it.
Just don't ask.
I think they've taken that bit out of weddings now. Does
Oh,
anybody expect?
You'd be great at like that kind of funeral where it is a more spiritually open-minded funeral. So imagine
Yes.
that, having a celebrant hosting it that
Yeah.
can see wow, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
A whole new job.
That's it. I love my mediumship though. Like I'm only keeping the celebrancy just for friends.
Okay, nice.
Great
I had my first wedding actually a few weeks ago, some dear friends of ours, but we got COVID the day before.
Oh, no.
Oh, we were gutted, man. And we
Oh.
just, they included us in the ceremony. Like they're still not married. They got married, you know, had everything because it was all happening, but they still wanted me to do the weddings. I'm still going to marry them another time.
Oh, good.
Just not then, but they included us the entire day. It was
Oh,
really
that's
good.
beautiful.
We was like sick on the couch. And
Oh, you poor things.
very sad for ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
I have remembered the question I had, but it's going to be out of kilter now. I'm sorry.
Doesn't
It
matter.
comes,
That's good.
We'll
it,
just,
comes, it comes back to when you're talking about going into trance with
Oh,
the
yes.
mediumship. Were you using that altered state of consciousness? Did you is that something that just happened to you, like I don't know, the movie Ghost moment where all of a sudden you go, whoa,
Yeah.
or is it something that you did yourself to try and connect on a deeper level?
Yes. So look, the only times I've actually managed to go into a state of trance, for me, it's not about the spirit taking over my body, but rather a blending. And so their energy blends very deeply with my energy.
When you're in that state.
When I'm in that state.
Yes.
And so as far as I'm aware, the only trance experiences I've had have been facilitated by teachers.
Yeah.
And so it's something to do with the energy in the room, the energy of the teacher.
Mhm.
But I've not been
definitely.
able to do that myself. And they say you can do it. I mean, I do something else called sitting in the power.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
That's similar. Yep.
And that is essential for mediumship development.
Grounding and stuff like that. You're visualizing
the grounding.
and
It's more focusing on the light in your chest,
Yeah.
and it's your power center, and it's just the expansion of that
Expanding.
light. And it expands.
beautiful.
You know, spirit expands into your energy. And to me, sitting in the power is a time where spirit can work on your energy field. So it's not necessarily about getting a connection with the spirit world, but it's their time to make any adjustments. So
You're
that you can
tuning
be-
in, letting them tune the radio a little bit.
so you can be a
on the other
better,
side.
what do you call it, conduit
Conduit.
spirit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know?
love
Yeah.
that.
I've been asked to help some mediums to do self-hypnosis because I'm a hypnotherapist,
Can you do it again?
and I learnt I learnt hypnotherapy by learning self-hypnosis first.
Wow.
And then I ended up becoming a hypnotherapist later on because I've done
Amazing.
many years of meditation. And hypnosis is similar. Yeah.
Yes.
It's very similar to
Phenomenal.
sitting in the power. That's more like
Yeah,
a meditation thing. But they're like sisters. It's just
Yes.
that with hypnosis, it's a more deliberate thing. So it acts differently. So it's the intention behind hypnosis that's different to like a meditation.
Yes.
Definitely you can develop ways that you can start off. It takes a little bit of time to do self-hypnosis, but I reckon after 4 weeks of training, you'd be able to go into a trance state within a couple of minutes.
That's
That'd be
incredible.
Yourself?
I'd love
Yeah.
to learn more about that.
And you can just do it yourself, like
Amazing.
very quickly, and a whole lot of little
Might be able to
things
get
to
some
help you
lessons
just
from
go.
me.
If it's helpful, I don't know. I guess because all I do is the hypnosis side of things. So I don't
Yeah.
know about the medium, the
It might
tuning
be a
bits.
deeper connection or like a quicker way of getting into the space without having to think about it. Or
Well, if you're in trance state, you could still do the sitting in the light. You could absolutely, because you've still got control. You're just
Yes.
in an altered state. You've still got control to do that, and that process can be part of going into a trance state if you wanted. As well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't really sit with intention to sit in trance, I guess. So it's,
No.
every now and then, if the opportunity is available, I will have a little dabble.
But you can do it without it. You can do it without it.
Yeah.
Without the trance state.
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yeah. It is a different feeling though, and a different experience.
Mm.
One of the hugest experiences I had with trance was, and I actually had this validated, it was in group years ago, and I literally felt this young man take over my body, and then I sort of glanced down onto my leg, and he had these shorts on and big rugby legs, and then I looked at his leg and I could see his leg hairs on mine.
Wow.
And then I could see my hands and I could see his face, and then we were in partners. And so when I came out of it, I described this guy to her, and it was somebody to her friend.
Wow.
Something. Yeah, so I actually had it validated, but the feeling that came over was, wow, it's phenomenal. I mean, I've actually done at the Arthur Finlay College, I did a 2-week course there. 1 week was, your normal mediumship, and then the second week was trance mediumship. And I sat on my ass solidly for a whole week. I could barely walk. After that, I tell you what, I was like, zoned out after that. But it gave me great, just a great grounding, I guess.
Yeah.
Different types of work you can do, but it's not my speciality, I guess.
How long did you spend at Arthur Finlay College?
2 weeks all up.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
right. And did you stay on the campus there?
Yeah, stayed on the campus, and it's literally like Hogwarts, because you'd go up these stairs and then they'd end up somewhere else. And then you're like, where the hell am I? And then it took me probably about 2 or 3 days to get used to the layout of the land, but it was absolute magic. God, what a magic experience.
It would have been interesting because you've got a lot of psychics and a lot of energy going on there. Did you walk in and go, ugh, like the whole place is
absolutely. And next level teachers, these are teachers that are world class.
I looked it up online, and so you can do online courses and stuff now, and you can read about the teachers and stuff. That was very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget the fabulous teachers we've got in Australia.
Exactly.
That's right. We get to talk to them.
Note, actually, like if you want to be mentored by someone like Lindie, she's got. How do people find you if they want to come and do a course? What's coming up?
Yeah, they can just find me on Facebook or Instagram. What have I got coming up? I've got a 10-week introduction course coming next term during the school term. So that's really for people who are just opening up, just starting to dabble. Sometimes people want to take themselves back to the beginning and start again. But the problem with that sometimes is they can actually get it really quickly and then put the wind up other people's sails because it looks like they've been doing it for years. So I have to be, use my brains or my intuition as to where people will fit best. And then I'm doing another 10-week course alongside it for mediums who are further along on the path. So people who've done courses with me already, or who have done a lot of courses, or who know that they want to go out and do this in the world.
Do you have to have a certain level of psychic development before you do one of the mediumship courses? It feels like you'd have to have some kind of basis. You can't just be John from down the road.
There definitely has to be an interest, without a doubt. I also, get a feel for where people are at on their journey. Like sometimes it's not the right timing for people to do it, even though they want to. And I can just feel and sense, it's not a good match at the moment, or there's things going on that you probably need to deal with. Because inevitably, when people start doing a course, some sort of stuff will go down for people, because it's opening them up to higher awareness, and that then starts to highlight what needs shifting in their lives.
Exactly. Yep. To clear out.
Yes. So it's a whole lot of clearing.
Yeah, I know I'm mentoring somebody at the moment. I do one-on-one mentoring often, and she actually started up with me. I think it was prior to COVID, and we only got 2 classes done, and then just sort of fell away. It wasn't the right time for her. Things happened, busy, and now she's back. And the energy is definitely different. And she had little things come up, changing some of the classes, but she's still coming back. And I know it's just the time you're supposed to learn how to get through some of that stuff. Like, I love it. Yeah, it's incredible
to see the growth in my students, and like it seriously blows me away sometimes, and I just think, wow,
proud mummy moment.
It's really mind blowing, especially when you've been working with somebody since the beginning, and you see how everything you've experienced impacts them, you know, so that they don't have to go through the same stuff and they can just, you know, go through different stuff.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
do their work. But it's just incredible, and it's such an honor, man. It's such an honor to guide people through this process. And because when I teach, I give my all. You know, I'm there for my students. I share my vulnerable side with them. I give it to them as it is. I don't fucking sugarcoat a turd. You know, but I feel that's what they like, you know, because I'm just a normal person. Because we know, Xavier, that people put people like us on pedestals, and we don't like it, do we?
No, and then you know,
I'm just
made mistakes, and then you fall super hard and fast, and piss everybody off extra because you're on this freaking high pedestal. Yes. I could talk for ages about that one. Yeah, so it's not, we're just normal like everybody else.
That's it.
And we've been there, done that, learned our lessons, and teaching them how to avoid the same ones if they can. But sometimes they still have to go through them anyway because it doesn't sink in.
That's right.
It's old. You just got to experience it to really learn. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. It's all right. Oh, thank you so much, Lynn. Do you want to keep thinking of other subjects? I know we've got so many more questions probably, but this podcast
next time
really long
we'll have to go for next time. And look, it has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate how open and authentic you've been, and
such a cool chick.
We can learn so much from people like you, and I'm really excited for people that are going to study under you and develop their mediumship through you. It's just how exciting. Like,
and as you know, everyone medium, because, you know, as she said, there's plenty of dead people to go. There's never going to be any mediums and psychics, so you can go learn, you know, and everyone's drawn to different people. Some people want different personalities of doing their readings and healings for them. So the people who resonate with you are going to find you, and I'm sure the ones that were meant to find you will be listening to this podcast, so they can book in, whether they come and see you at a live platform event, which is what I went to recently with my fiance, or they get to be able to jump on the radio or book in 101 or go be taught by you. I'm sure they're very blessed to be in your presence. It's just to know you, just because you're so cool and down.
That's lovely.
Just really enjoying being in your space.
Thank you.
Nice.
That's nice, because sometimes I don't want to be in my own space. I annoy myself sometimes.
Again, see, loving yourself isn't easy.
No, not easy.
You're gonna love that side of yourself.
Never said it was easy. Yeah, never said it was easy.
Yeah, awesome.
So nice to talk to you guys. Thank you for having me.
Fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it for another episode, but that doesn't have to be the end of the conversation.
Feel free to leave your comments on our YouTube channel, or for those podcast listeners, you can email us at mickandthepsychic@gmail.com to leave your feedback or questions.
I'm a certified hypnotherapist and timeline regression therapist. If you wish to contact me to explore the source of an issue you're facing, just book a session at hernhypnosis.com.au and include the promo code MATP for 10% off. You can contact me on Insta and Facebook at hernhypnosis.
Check out my website at optimisticxavier.com.au if you feel you'd like to connect with me as a psychic medium, spiritual mentor, or intuitive coach. Include the promo code MATP for 10% discount. You can also find me on Insta, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
We look forward to connecting with you again next time as we attempt to leave no stone unturned.
Bye.
All right, cool. I reckon that should be okay.
Yep.